Hi, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at the presidential shifts between 1992 and 1996. So I have my usual spreadsheet here, but let's see how Bill Clinton did during his second run compared to his first. Now, in his second run in 96, Ross Perot, the third-party candidate, he did run again, but his popular vote share went from about 19% down to a little over 8%, so a lot of his vote will be distributed to the other candidates. So here's the list of states, followed by the 1992 Clinton vote, the 1992 Republican vote, which was George H.W. Bush, the 96 Bill Clinton vote, then the 96 Republican vote, which was Bob Dole. The Democratic shifts are next to that, followed by the Republican shifts, and finally the last column is the net change between the two parties between the two elections. And I also have some shading. The lightest red and blues, those are going to be under 5-point shifts, and the darkest red and blues, those will be 10 or more point shifts. So in 92, Clinton won with a plurality of the popular vote, 43%. And in 1996 to just over 49%. So let's quickly go through these states. And in Alabama, in 1992, Clinton got 40.9%. George H.W. Bush got 47.7%. 4 years later, Bill Clinton bumped it up to 43.2%. And the Republican Bob Dole bumped it up to 50.1%. That's a shift of 2.3 toward the Democrats, as well as a shift of 2.4 toward the Republicans. So both parties gained there because of the lower share for Ross Perot. But in the end, that's almost no net change, but it does come out to a 0.1% change in favor of the Republicans. So moving on to Alaska, that went 8.3 toward the Republicans. Arizona went 4.2 toward the Democrats. Arkansas, 0.8% toward the Republicans. California moved a 0.5 point toward the GOP. In Colorado, that's one of 3 states that actually flipped and voted for the Republican in 96, that Clinton had won in 92. And today we think of it as a blue state, but then it shifted 5.6 toward the Republicans. Connecticut shifted double digits, 11.7 toward the Democrats. Delaware went an even 7% toward the Democrats. Florida went 7.6 away from the Republicans. Georgia's another state that Clinton won in 92 but lost in 96, and that shifted 1.8 toward the Republicans. Hawaii went a big 13.9 toward the Democrats. Idaho went the other direction by 4.9. Illinois shifted 3.2 toward the left. Indiana also went toward the left by 0.6. Iowa did the same by 4.4. Kansas went a big 13.1 toward the Republicans. I'm sure a lot of that is because Bob Dole, the Republican nominee, was from Kansas. The next state is Kentucky, and that went 2.4 toward the Republicans. Louisiana went 7.5 toward the Democrats. Maine went double digits, 12.4 toward the left. In Maryland, that went a modest 1.8 toward the Democrats. In Massachusetts, it got bluer by 14.9%. Michigan shifted 5.8 toward the Democrats. Minnesota, 4.8 toward the Democrats. Mississippi, 3.8 toward the Democrats. Missouri went in the opposite direction, 3.9 toward the Republicans. Montana, that's another state Clinton won in 92. In 96, he lost it, and it shifted 5.4 toward the Republicans. Nebraska went a mild 1.5 toward the Republicans. Nevada, similar margin, 1.7. New Hampshire leaped 8.7 toward the Democrats. New Jersey had the biggest shift of all, 15.4 away from the Republicans and toward the Democrats. New Mexico went toward the Republicans by 1.3. New York went toward the Democrats by 13.1. North Carolina went toward the right by 4%. North Dakota back toward the left by 5.2. Ohio toward the left as well by 4.6. Oklahoma had very little change, 0.9% toward the Democrats. In Oregon, that went 1.9 toward the Republicans. Pennsylvania had almost no net change, only 0.1% toward the Democrats. Rhode Island had a healthy lurch toward the left by 14.9. South Carolina had a more modest shift toward the Democrats by 2.1. There was almost no change in South Dakota, 0.1% toward the Democrats. Tennessee went toward the Republicans by 2.3. Texas as well by 1.5. Utah went in the same direction toward the Republicans by 2.4. Vermont shifted toward the Democrats by 6.6. Virginia, 2.5 toward the Democrats. Washington, 1.1 toward the Democrats. West Virginia, very red state now, but back then, it shifted toward Bill Clinton by 1.9%. Wisconsin had a decent shift toward the left by 6%. And the last state is Wyoming. That went toward the Republicans by a big 7.4%. And I also have Washington, D.C. on here. Very little change there, but it did go 0.4% toward the Democrats. So those are all the states and all of the shifts, and we could take all this data and help visualize it by applying it to a map. Here it is. It's the same basic shading. The darkest colors are going to be over 10-point shifts, and the very lightest colors, those are going to be the tilt margins. Those are under 1-point shifts. states like Indiana, South Dakota, and Arkansas. So this was an interesting election. Obviously, Bill Clinton won re-election, but Republicans did do better in 19 states. A lot of those shifts were pretty small, maybe a point or two. In 1982, Ross Perot did get a decent portion of that vote. He didn't win any states, but if he was not in the race, there's debate about whether George H.W. Bush would have been able to win re-election. In 96, Ross Perot got much less of the vote. Bill Clinton very likely would have still won without Perot, but if Clinton was defeated in 92, then there's no telling what would have happened in 96. And as for any takeaways from this map, I think it's all over the place. There's states we consider to be blue today that shifted toward the Republicans. There's states we consider to be red today that shifted toward the Democrats. This was kind of a long time ago, sort of a different era in a lot of these states. Some of them were discovering a new political identity and having their own realignment. But it is clear that Bill Clinton did much stronger in the Northeast, in New England there. A lot of dark blue in that part of the country. The Republican, Bob Dole, he does seem to have done better in the West, but again, those shifts are much smaller. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed seeing the shifts, seeing the data, seeing the map. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about any of these shifts between these two elections? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.